Hi, and welcome everyone to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as you know, my name is Carol Ann. My channel name is Ethereal Encounters Unveiled, and we welcome you so much. Don't forget, pop in the chat. Let me get that ticker up and running. Well, I'll do that after I introduce my guest, whom I'm very excited to have on. This topic is near and dear to all of our hearts. Every one of us has a story that's like rooted in emotional pain. And it's a story that the subconscious mind constantly plays on a loop. And that holds us back. And it often forces our hearts to be able to build energetic walls. But what if the script wasn't your destiny? What if you had the power not just to cope with your pain, but to rewrite the entire narrative? Today, we're talking about exactly that. We're moving past being a victim of circumstance and into a role of the master architect of our future. We are exploring how to dismantle these old limitations and truly reclaim emotional power that was once lost. So please joining me in welcoming the founder of Wellness Revival, Timothy Spriggs, as we discussed rewriting the trauma script and reclaiming power from past emotional wounds. Timothy, hi.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me, and hello to all your subscribers or listeners. Yes.
Yes. Hopefully they're going to be popping in. And here we have Mish. Hi, Mish. Much love. Always a blessing to see you, dear. Um, People will be popping in and they ask questions, which we love. So yeah, don't be shy, folks. Pop in the chat. We love hearing from you. So, Tim, I could call you Tim, right? Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. So tell us about who you are, about your company. You have a company called Wellness Revival, and folks can find you at wellnessrevival.net. It is correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, we have it
Um,
running across the banner. So,
the company name is a little different. It's actually Revive Wellness Center, but that's okay. But that is the correct email or site address, which is perfect. So
awesome.
wellnessrevival.net.
Good. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, what's driving your passion for this. I mean, emotional well-being is a bigger topic now, I think, in this decade, more so than it's ever been. So I think it's very timely to be talking about this. We all have emotional traumas that we deal with. And if we can learn how to rewrite some of the script to that and live healthier and happier lives, that sounds like a win-win to me. So tell us about yourself and how you got started.
Well, I guess it started out with I grew up in a family of medical professionals. My dad was a doctor, my mom was a nurse, and my older sisters, one went into pharmacy as a doctor, and the other was a nurse practitioner in pediatrics and also was on the uh, National Arthritis Association, and she's even president for a little while. But anyway, so I grew up with them, and of course to them, chiropractors, acupuncturists, um, all the wellness doctors, they considered them all quacks, but I kept seeing that I don't know, it seemed like Western medicine was kind of missing things a bit and here and there, and it definitely has its place, but I also really respected the people that were um, in this profession because my family was I knew how they were they went into it trying to help people, And my dad would get calls at all hours of the night, and there wasn't a holiday where he wasn't called away, and he pretty much worked 7 days a week, except the weekends he didn't have his normal office hours, but he was still going to the hospital, checking on his patients and stuff. And anyway, so I guess that was part of what got me interested, at least in trying to help people, but I wanted to approach it in a different way, just from my own experience. Um, and actually, my dad got me into supplements because I was depressed for a while. I was in college, and he goes, you know what, you need these, B12 complex vitamins, and wow, that really did the trick. I really felt it. It was great. So I started getting into the supplement area, um, and I also was learning different things. I did some reflexology and some
Mhm.
acupuncture. I learned about. I'd taken martial arts. I had learned some really amazing things there and seen amazing things, and they would also eventually teach you acupuncture, but I never got to that point. But I'd experienced all these things. I'd been to chiropractors as well and seen the benefit of going to them.
Mhm.
Um, and I, um, I was just interested, whenever I found out about things like supplements or whatever, people would end up coming to me with the same situation that I had or something I knew about. And I said, oh, hey, you might try this, and
Mm.
typically it would help them. And, uh, And so I always wanted to help people too, but uh, in college I had a child already, and um, interestingly, the psychology department really wanted me to go into their uh, as a major, their department, and because I guess I was kind of natural, but when I found out, here I was working full time and going to college, and then they said I'd have to do about 7 more years of school,
Yeah.
and a lot of that I had to do um, volunteer work, and I was like, oh, I can't make that happen. But I was good with numbers, and I have a huge story about all this, but in the end, I ended up going into finance and philosophy as my two majors, and uh, but I was continuing to try to learn new things about healing and health in general. Uh, my my dad died, um, and not I don't know. It was about a year or so later that my mom ended up having her cancer return, and she was in hospice, and they wouldn't let her out. And I went there, and she didn't even recognize me, and
Mm.
she had a hard time just moving her feet in bed, and but by then I had learned about wellness doctors. I had learned about some naturopaths as well as um, other wellness doctors. And I did a lot of research to try to see what I could do to help my mom. And I found out about a lot of different ways of doing things, and I went to her, and they allowed me to take her out, like in the sun, in her wheelchair and stuff, and I could spend time with her, but they would not allow any other, a wellness doctor in. I found a really good. She was a naturopath and homeopath, and but they would not allow her in. And so I was kind of working with her, trying to see what I could do, and then just with my own instinct, I guess, and I took her out, and we were getting sun, and she was feeling better. So I started, doing exercises with her legs and things, which that actually helped from the martial arts, believe it or not, because you learn a lot about the physiological aspect of
Oh,
things.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I started working with her on that, and then I got involved with some physical therapists as well, and got it to the point to where, because they said if you can get her to walk across the room, and where she has some cognitive, where she can
Mhm.
do and stuff, then we'll release her. And so I did. I got her to that point, and she was doing better. And so I got her back home, and she had always wanted to be home, when
Yeah.
she didn't
So
like.
your wellness journey kind of expanded over what decades? Did you get
Yes, yes.
certified? Did you get certified in anything in particular? Like, what was your passion? Was it holistic therapies? Like, what was your passion?
Yeah, it's more holistic. And I didn't get certified at that time, but I had learned about Reiki in the
Hmm.
martial arts, and at that time I didn't go into that either, but
Yeah.
I eventually I did. That was the first thing I got my um, certificate in. I became a second degree Reiki practitioner,
Nice.
and then my Reiki master actually said, you might want to look into emotion code, and so I got the book, I started reading it, and I was so excited because it was something I could do. I knew I could do it, and it was right up my alley. Um, so because it's kind of funny because I ended up working in the computer area for quite a while, and the strange thing is things would always come to me that nobody had ever seen before, and I would have to dig in and you know, because no one could really help me. So I had to dig in and figure it out myself. Um, and sometimes that took a bit of time,
Yeah.
but I kept digging in. And so my boss, he he realized that I actually had a really talent for that, and he said, you're like a surgeon going in there and figuring out the exact root cause of what's going on, and then you resolve it. And and so
And
when I was
you're talking about like emotional trauma, like the emotional aspect of like what specifically are you
well,
talking about?
what I was talking about on that was about the computer issues that would
Oh,
come up.
okay.
But the reason why I bring that up is because with the emotion code, body code, belief code, that's exactly what we're doing. We're going in and finding the root cause of whatever is causing these issues that
Mm,
people have. And so that's why one reason I felt it was right up my alley, because it's like, oh, I've been doing this, you know, forever.
yeah.
I've been going in and figuring out the root cause, and that was the thing I didn't really like about Western medicine, because they seem to treat symptoms, not root causes. And I think most people understand the importance of that now. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's taken me a long time to get here, but finally, and it's been a couple years now. I've been doing all of this, or
Nice.
actually maybe 4 or 5 years total with the Reiki. But I was so excited. It's like this is what I've been looking for, and it it's really dramatic or amazing results,
Wow.
and so I was like, I can really help people with this, and so that's what got me so excited about it. So I went ahead and finished the book of emotion code, and I got my certification, and then I started reading about the body code, and the same thing. It was like, oh yeah, I got to have this too, and so I got certified, and then finally they have a belief code, which is newer than the other two, but it, it almost exponentially enhances the others, because
Mm.
like you were talking about these negative things that are going through your mind um, all the time, like I can never do it, or I always mess up, or whatever those uh, thoughts might be, but they're ingrained in us. And
Oh, yeah.
interestingly, we can inherit these things too. So even if we remembered why we might think I always mess up, why that became a conclusion with our subconscious, you can't think that up for an inherited thing. You're born with it.
Yeah, and
So,
I agree. I mean, generational trauma is a very real thing. Um,
yes.
in all of us. But I could see your correlation between computer code and like emotional code. Because like when you're writing a computer program, if there's one dot in the wrong spot, like the whole code is defunct at that point. So I would
Yes.
imagine the mind works the same way, right? Or our emotional trauma works the same way.
E exactly. That's well put. So, um, when we have these trapped emotions, everyone has emotions. Emotions are actually good. They protect us, they help us.
Right.
But sometimes we don't process all the emotions that we experience and they become trapped.
Mhm.
And there's no rhyme or reason as to where they get trapped in the body. They do come from specific organs, but then it doesn't, you know, it could be trapped in your big toe, it could be trapped in your
Yeah.
shoulder. And an emotion is an energetic charge. So when it gets
Mhm.
trapped, there's an energetic blockage within your body, wherever that happens to be trapped.
Does it always manifest in the body? Like, let's start with this question. So, you talk about the energetic trauma script, right? So, from an energetic perspective, how do you define what the trauma script is? So, where is this script? What is it? Is it a repetitive pattern of thoughts and behaviors and emotions that we store in the body? Like, you take it from there and explain what that is.
Um, the Let's see. So on the emotional aspect of things, it's stored in the body, yes.
Hmm.
And but that's when we don't process. If we process the emotion, it gets released, it's gone. But when we don't actually process it, that's when it gets trapped. And then it can manifest over time, making issues within your body. So you could have, I don't know, you could be having headaches all the time, and it could be
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, for the
So
belief part, some of
yeah.
that is in the energy body. It gets
Mm.
stored there, and so it's kind of interesting. But
Oh, it's very interesting. I mean, I think, every human on the planet suffers from it in one respect or the next. So when you say we need to process it, because like in my world, processing things means to like talk about them, maybe, have a therapist, it could be different. And how long, in your therapy modality, what's processing like?
well, with mine, it's much different than what people are used to. So with the modality, so when I go in and I find out those specific emotions, and we have to do them one at a time. You can't do a group. But the cool thing about the belief code is it actually encapsulates all the trapped emotions, all the physical imbalances, as well as all of the negative statements that we have. So it's a whole system. And so we can go through and identify each piece of that. And then we can go through and one by one, we release those emotions. And it's very quick, each emotion, but a session, a full session might take, you know, I have had some that have only been 15 minutes long, but they can be an hour and a half even. But that's not typical. It's
Mm,
but but we release each one of those, and so that negative emotional electric charge that's in our body gets released.
mm,
And s- but the cool thing is, because people wonder about this, they say, wait, so does that mean that I'm going to forget about all my traumas and everything? It's like, no, you don't forget. You'll still remember them, so you can still process them mentally. But what happens a lot of times, I believe, is that when you go to a therapist and you talk about, or even with friends and stuff, you talk things out,
yeah.
you may get to the point to mentally everything's good. It makes sense. But in your body, it's still there and still bothering you. And I, right before the show, this kind of popped in my mind is that I happen to be adopted. And my parents told me before first grade, and I didn't remember what I had done or what happened for a while I was in first grade. But um, and then what happened the year after that, because they told my brother he was adopted too. Um, but I was carrying this around, and I would like get very emotional um, without knowing why, you know.
Mm,
And so one day I was talking to my parents. I was in college at this time, and so and they go, "Wait a minute, do you remember what you said to your brother when we told him?" You know, and because they had this thing where they would read this book about a puppy and it going to another family kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so what I had said is when they were done and they told him, I said, "Yeah, see, your parents didn't want you either."
Oh.
And when they told me that, immediately I remembered the feeling. Um, my parents were great. My adoptive parents were great, and they had a story as to why my biological parents gave me up. Made perfect sense. I never had, mentally, it made sense, and I never had an issue. But then when they told me that, I had blocked all this out. Is I thought I was a piece of trash to
Yeah.
somebody. I thought someone threw me away, and then
Yeah.
my adoptive parents came and found me. Oh, great! But no matter how great the family is, I'm trash to somebody. And and so those were the feelings I had, and so I've been able to work through all that and everything, but I had also had a big issue with it during first grade, and luckily they knew my teacher, and so she let me go home, and I could walk home from there. It was really close. And so during first grade, I came home several times because I was so upset, and I didn't remember any of that. So
Mm. Where do you think that got trapped in your body? So you're saying that all emotional trauma gets trapped somewhere in our body, right? Is that correct?
no, I was just making the example of I don't think I could fully process it at that age. So mentally, I could process it. My mind was okay with it. It's like, okay, this is logical. It makes sense. But I had no
Mhm.
idea I was still feeling like I was trash, basically. And so I had not processed that emotionally. And it's just an example because this can happen
Yeah.
in all kinds of situations, and it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be when you're young. It can be when
No,
you're
of
older
course.
too. And
What
so,
when did you finally discover that and process it? At what age were you?
um, I was in I was around 25, 24, I think, actually,
Oh,
is when
wow.
they told me and that I had done that. And it was just wow. So it took me a long time to end up coming to terms with that and processing it.
Mm.
And actually, I don't think I fully processed it until I got into these modalities. So excuse me, had done some of the processing, but they were still there.
Yeah.
Not probably not as powerful, but now it's a lot better.
Yeah. You talk about trauma, how it can lead to fully like negative internal conclusions. Could you give is that an example of one of them, or like how does the belief dictate the next chapter of this life script that we're in? Like how does it let's start with that question. So how like give us an example of how people can develop a faulty conclusion. It could be anything, right? Like the one you just
Yes,
gave the example you just gave, you had a faulty
exactly.
conclusion. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So inside, and I didn't even know I had this. So I had that thought going around saying I'm trash, even though people like me, I'm still trash. And so that was so that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
So
How did
but
you
you
work through that though? What did you do to work through that and process that?
well part of it was I did talk to people. I had seen a counselor sometimes too, and I talked to friends and stuff, but it was still there where I would get emotional, and I didn't know why I was getting emotional. But once
Mm,
I had found that other part out, then it was like, oh, is it because of this? And so
yeah.
I would think about it, and then I would try to do activities like the martial arts. I think helped, just
Yeah.
because you end up pushing yourself really hard and in order to get better, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
by doing that, I think that helped as well. But there was still something there, and so once I got into this, I did some self sessions on myself,
Mhm.
and then that negative charge was gone, and so it really helped a whole lot. But
Yeah.
So I think although talking it out is good. I think it is good, and if
Mhm.
especially if it's fresh, because I think that way you can process it because you can, as long as you can voice things and acknowledge it, acknowledge that pain, acknowledge everything you're going through, and then eventually you get through it that way as well. But once it
Yeah.
gets trapped in there, I think it's harder because it's harder to
Oh
find,
gosh.
harder to pull up.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a few shows on shadow work and how, unearthing all of these painful traumas in our life, whether you do it by yourself or do it through therapy, is definitely a road towards healing, and everybody has a different way of how they want to approach shadow work. So you talk about these modalities. Now, are these like set lessons that you do with your clients, or what are they like? Could you give us an example of one?
Well, I almost always try to start with the belief code because it kind of encapsulates the other two. But sometimes they don't have a belief system that's causing it, and so then I go to body code or and then
Oh, I
emotion
see.
code. But but typically I start with the belief code. I say, does this person have a belief system that is causing this issue or is contributing to this issue? And if it says yes, then I say, okay, what kind of belief system is it? And there's different ones. We don't really need to go into all that, but it's mainly for me that it gives me an idea of what we're going to go through. So I
What you're
have
dealing with, yeah.
I have templates made up. So some people will have a whole lot of the mental negative statements, and then you have the trapped emotions, and then the imbalances in the body. And so I go through and I identify all of those, and I release the trapped emotions and imbalances first because the belief system is what we're really wanting to get at, but we have to remove all that other stuff first, and then we can go to the negative statements and we release each one of those. And
Yeah. Well, boy, we all have those negative, statements in our mind. So you use the emotion code, the body code, and the belief code, right? And
yes,
these modalities allow you to help folks bypass their conscious protective, like monkey brain, right? And go directly into deep seated trauma scripts, right?
yeah, yeah. It's so I connect with the subconscious. So and your subconscious knows everything about you, and so it knows, you know, what what things are contributing to whatever current issues there are. So I go in and that's when I say, does this person have any that has a belief system that's causing this? It's the subconscious off that I'm talking to. You know, your subconscious, the person's subconscious, and that's what
Mm,
it tells me. So sometimes when they were first doing this, they would have a pretty good idea that there was something there, even though it would say no. So they would press harder and say, "Wait a minute, is there really none?" And sometimes they could get the subconscious to offer up a little bit more, but basically what the subconscious was saying was, well, there may be more, but right now this person needs to hang on to it. And so that was with the uh, when people had a heart wall, they were trying to push that, saying, "Wait a minute, aren't there more?" But the subconscious, no, no, that's it for today. That's enough. The body needs to process, and then
oh,
next
I
session
see.
we can get to the next piece of that.
So what is the heart wall? You talk about that. What exactly is that?
So you mentioned that a little bit in the beginning. The When we have you know a heartbreak or just real bad trauma, our heart actually puts together an energetic wall, and it uses trapped emotions in order to do that.
Mm,
Inherited ones too, and so it'll actually build a wall around the heart so that you're protected.
yeah.
However, the body doesn't have a way to just unbuild the wall naturally. So once you have a heart wall, it stays until someone can remove it. And
Yeah.
the bad thing about a heart wall is, yes, it protects you, but once you're kind of over, that heartbreak, then uh, you're closing yourself off to other people. The heart,
Mhm.
uh, they've done studies on this, and they actually people have called the heart the second brain.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've heard that.
yeah, the heart has a signal. It's actually stronger than the brain signal,
Mhm.
but the heart sends the signals not only to the brain, and the brain will listen to the heart. So the heart actually kind of controls the brain sometimes, as to what to do with the body. But then the heart also projects out to people. And so
Mm.
sometimes you'll feel real connected with someone, and that's, your heart is sending a signal out. But if your heart has a heart wall, that signal is getting blocked. And not only is your signal getting blocked, but other people's signal to you is getting blocked.
Yeah.
So your perception is off at that point, and people's perception of you is off as well.
Mhm.
And so by removing the heart wall, people can connect much better. And so if you have problems with relationships, or maybe you're having problems with commitment, or any of
Yeah.
these kinds of things, it might be the heart wall. And the heart wall, it's really amazing. I have a couple stories about that, and but it's really neat because you start actually seeing things differently. You start opening up to people more. You start
Mhm.
understanding people more instead of prejudging them. And people have actually found, they had never been married, and they're 60 years old. They had focused on work or whatever, and then after having their heart wall removed, and because they're open to things and stuff, they end up finding the person they want to marry,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
stayed with them. Anyway, I when I first read about that, I was like, oh man, we need to get rid of everyone's heart wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. So yeah.
So this is like an energetic field that we're building around our heart area, correct? And that's like blocking us from, as you said, commitment, love. I mean, it could really be any aspect of your life, right? Not just around love. It could be,
Oh
any
yes, yes.
friendships, relationships. I mean, it could even affect your work, I guess, or,
Hmm.
you know, I even see it going as far as morals and values, like people that have a heart wall that's just so huge around their heart that their morals and values are like twisted as well, right? I mean, I would
Yes.
imagine it. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But it yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I,
No, 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 go ahead.
I was going to say that also plays a lot into the belief code. So, um, it's bec- just like you said with the heart wall. It's being, you're not perceiving things correctly, and others
Mm,
aren't perceiving you correctly. So it's like a filter on your understanding and your perception. Well, the belief code is that exactly, because you have those negative beliefs, like I said, I had, I'm trash. So I I perceived the world as if, that filter was on
yeah,
there. And
yeah.
so my whole perception of the world was skewed because of that. And so yes, the heart wall is just like what you said, but also the belief code is even more so onto that.
Yeah, I could see that. Wow. Mish has a great question, and I've, you know, believe this school of thought that we need, negatives and pain to help us learn and grow. So is is this part of like one of your modalities to teach people that, yeah, you've had suffering, you've had pain, but now you're transforming that into something positive and healing, right?
Yes. Um, so when I was saying the subconscious um, uh, won't put forth anything for us to remove if it's necessary for that person.
Mhm.
So if I said, okay, does this person need to have the heart wall removed? It might say no. And it's like, oh, okay, we need to leave it there longer because they still need to learn from it.
Oh,
Um,
I see.
yes, yeah. So, but then once they've learned from it, now that's with the heart wall. But when you have the other trapped emotions in the body, or imbalances, it's the same thing. If there's one of those things that isn't ready to be removed, then it won't even show it to me. It'll, say no, everything's good. And so it's well, does that answer? It's
Yeah, it does. It does. So so essentially in order to find true healing, we need to work on the emotion, body and belief code, right? It's like a
yes,
group thing.
yes.
So if somebody heals, say they heal their heart wall but not their body wall, is so healing can't truly come, right? It has to be like a package deal, right?
Well, not necessarily. It So for the heart wall, that's kind of its own entity in a way.
Oh, okay.
So once we get that removed, there will be healing from that. And of course, when you're connecting with people, so you don't need to have more sessions once that's removed. Now, sometimes we can rebuild a heart wall if we have more, bad trauma and stuff. But
Mm.
I think everyone that I've removed a heart wall on so far, it hasn't come back. so,
That's good. What about
so
people with lots of emotional traumas? Like if it's not just say one distinct thing, does this modality help them with all of them or do you have to handle them like individually?
it depends. So the heart wall is one thing. We can remove that. But if let's say someone like PTSD, for instance,
Yeah.
um, that gets into a whole different aspect of things. It's not just the heart wall. It's a lot of other things. And sometimes childhood trauma comes in and combines with the PTSD. And so you have to kind of strip away all of that and go try to remove all of those things that are related to it. So that would be uh, more sessions. Usually, like for the heart wall, for instance, it's usually 3 to 5 sessions. Now,
Mhm.
for most everything else we talk about, it kind of depends on the person because, for instance, I helped someone with fibromyalgia, and it took I think maybe 5 sessions for that. But
Oh,
fibromyalgia,
wow.
but they were so happy. They're like, I've had this for 20 years almost, and no one's been able to help me. They've been drugging me up, and
Yeah.
they hated all that. And then after I did those sessions, they're like, "Oh, there's no more pain." They sent me a
Wow, that's
text, and
phenomenal.
so they were super happy.
So
But
Mish is
for
saying you
someone
could
else,
rebuild it then, right? You could rebuild the heart wall.
yes, that can happen. Um, and so once the heart wall is removed, let's say you go through another really bad,
Yeah,
heart-wrenching time,
right.
then your heart's going to want to protect you again, so it can rebuild. And that's okay because it is protecting you. You just have to realize once you feel like you're pretty well over things, maybe it's good to check in and see if you need to remove a heart wall again. So,
What do you do for clients that have constant negative thoughts? Because I know a lot of people like that. Well, not a lot, but some, where they are filled with either talking about negative things or have, some have negative self impressions and some just talk like I'm trying to think of someone I know that just talks negative all the time. Everything is the whole world is filled with negativity. Like, how do you heal that? Like, what modality do you use for someone that's just filled with negativity?
well, the same. It'd be the belief code, but
Belief code.
but it would be a system because you know I'm sure the trapped emotions and there's imbalances within the body that are contributing
Mhm.
to this as well. So it'd probably be a bunch of belief systems, depending on why they're that way. Um, and these are I don't know what a better word is because people get a little hung up on beliefs. It's like, okay, are you gonna, I'm Catholic. Are you gonna take that away from me? It's like, no,
Oh, I see.
that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about negative. Um, their conclusions, really, I guess, is a good way to say it. Is there are conclusions that have been made, but they're faulty. So something happened to someone a couple times, maybe, and or even just once, and they're from then on, they're like, nope, nope, it's this is how it is. I'm terrible, or whatever their thought is.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
once you
Yeah,
remove
Mish,
that, though.
it is mind chatter. And I have to bring this up because and ask you just your opinion on it because I've talked to a lot of psychologists on the show who and one in particular who believes that some people are affected by demonic or negative outside influences and that affects a lot of this mind chatter, this negative self-talk, and it happens a lot in schizophrenic patients too. Do you think that there could be, like, in your world, in your belief system, that there are negative outside forces that could be affecting a person?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
the
glad
first one
to hear that.
to ask that specifically, but and that is something I have with these modalities. If you
Yes.
have something like that, it will lead me to that, and we can remove it. But I
Oh,
also
wonderful.
have had some training. My Reiki master is also a medium,
Oh,
and
nice.
so I've learned some things from her. So I have a way to remove those things using her method as well. And I've actually had uh, some issues with this. And um, there was another point I wanted to make though. We'll get back to it. But
Yeah,
the oh,
yeah.
so I know a lot of people may think it's kind of out there and to talk
No, no,
about this,
not on
but
this network. Not here.
but I like to give the example of, I when I was younger, still living with my parents and stuff. I was at the point where I knew when a friend was going to call me, and I would
Mm,
even start going to the phone before it rang, and I knew who it was.
yeah.
And and so we are connected.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
and by the other aspect is, I'm sure everyone has experienced this where you meet someone, or maybe it's even that friend I was talking about, but let's say you just meet someone for the first time and you're
Mhm.
talking to them, and man, you feel awesome, right? Your energy's up, everything, because you're sharing energy and you want to share.
Oh,
And,
yeah,
and so you're both sharing that energy. And even when you're on the phone, you're like, you feel that elation. But then
absolutely.
you can get on the phone or you can be in person with someone who's very negative, and you can almost feel a dark cloud around them or something, and
Oh,
your
yeah.
energy goes down. And so I like to bring that example up just because we do feel these things. If someone's really negative and just wants to pick a
Oh,
fight or whatever, you,
1,000%.
yeah. And so yes. So then it's not that big of a leap to think that, okay, there can be these, dark, if you want to call them evil or negative beings,
Yeah.
um, that can affect us. And it can be people as well. I recently had to remove some curses. And
Funny, we just had a show on that, on curses and, cursed items, cursed people. Um, do you use the same modalities for that as you would anything else, or do you have, like a spiritual modality that you use? Like, or do they just fall under the like the belief code or
it actually comes up in the body code. Um,
Mm,
and it will say if you had some kind of influence or an entity,
yeah.
or even like a saboteur or things of that nature. And if it doesn't work using the body code, then I have another way of doing things, which I was getting hit. And I don't know if it's because I was just learning all of this, and maybe they could see my light or whatever,
Yeah, definitely.
but I would, and I could count how many I had, right? Well, I
Wow.
had like 50,000
Wow.
attacking me. And my wife started to see the symptoms. She would go, "Wait a minute, do you have things attached to you?" Because my energy would go way down.
Oh,
I
sure.
would start to not really speak very well and stuff, and just not with my normal enthusiastic energy. And so I would test. Sure enough, they were attached to me, and so I learned ways to get rid of that so they don't come back. if they sometimes they do, but not very often, and I can get rid of them pretty quick now. But that was an interesting thing because I had never
Oh my
experienced that.
gosh.
So,
Yeah, yeah. We have a lot of people popping in, so don't mind me saying hello to them.
oh
I
no,
love
great.
I
Yeah,
love all the
welcome everybody.
yeah, I love all the people that come in the chat. They're the best. They're the best. Um, yeah, because I think a lot of what, and I mean, I'm an empath, so and I can remember being an empath at 2, that far back where I would walk in a room and everybody's emotions, like I would tap right into them and I can just read expressions as a child and I just, you kind of just know as an empath, like I was just born in, and my daughter is as well. And I don't know, sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's not. You have to learn how to like protect yourself, of course. And we have a lot of people in the chat too that are as well. And I think protecting yourself is a large part of all, just being human. When you talked about people with negative energies, they're like emotional vampires and they just suck the energy right out of you. But have you ever had any say like high strangeness or paranormal activity in your life, like growing up? Were you able to tap into like the spiritual realm at all? Because something tells me that you did at a very young age. I mean, I could be wrong, but
um, I did, and I uh, I told you about that when I could tell a friend was calling and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
And so that was I was in my teenage years, and I had started studying different meditations and things.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so I started, uh, dreaming things that would happen. And I had this question. I always had this question. It's like, okay, can I change, the future? Then can I've seen what's going to happen. Can I change it? And so I had this dream about being at work. I was working at McDonald's at the time, and it was a really strange dream. It Things happened that never ever happened uh, all the time I was there, before, or after.
Mm.
Um, and so it's just really weird things. And well, one night I'm at work, and it all starts going down. I knew everything that was going to happen that whole night.
Oh, wow.
And at the end of the night, in the dream, I'd gotten in a fight with a coworker. I mean, a bad fight, not fist fight, but yelling, arguing kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and well, I changed one thing, um, from di I made one thing different from how the dream had been, and uh, no fight, nothing.
Oh,
The
wow.
night ended well, and it was like, "There's my answer. Thank you, universe."
Yeah. That's
So,
great. So you were able to, and I believe that fully that you can change, I don't believe in like predestiny where everything is written in stone. I think we can all change our futures. So that's great when it comes through a dream. Do you think you were like on an astral journey, like, or was it just like a lucid dream? What was that like for you?
uh, I think it was probably more of a lucid dream,
Yeah.
but I'm not real sure. I haven't had as much success with things after that. Um, I, I don't know why exactly. My meditation course was off and on, and different things, and I have had things happen, and I have seen things sometimes, but I'm trying to kind of get back there. My intuition is stronger than it was, and but it's kind of weird. I think my mode of connecting is more of the where you just know things,
Yeah.
and
Just
so
basic intuition. Yeah.
yes, and so I've been trying to work on that to where, because I've been told that's one of the hardest ones to really hone in on, because you don't know if it's just a thought you're having, or you know
Mm.
um, and so, but that's where the muscle testing helps a lot, because it's like, okay, is this a real thing, or is it just.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I can always for me personally, I don't know if anyone else in the chat can know, but I always mostly, not always, mostly can tell an intuitive thought from just like a run of the mill thought. They just feel different in the mind's eye. Um I don't know. It's a feeling and it's hard to explain, but I can usually tell. And at the moment, you don't know until like after it's over. And then you go, "Oh, wow, that's what that was." Like, you know what I'm saying? You kind of feel it after it's happened.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to get better at that. But I have had those moments where it's just I know. But the problem is I
Yeah.
tend to probably like everyone else, you self doubt and you're like, wait a
Yes.
minute, I need to double check this and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, sadly, like and you were mentioning before, you come from a family of all medical expertise people, so they look upon all this stuff as woo woo and nonsense, and it's not, like it's just not. And most people, I think there's a lot of people that are awakening to that this stuff is real.
Hmm.
Intuition is very real, and all these modalities like Reiki and meditation, they work. And I think once you open yourself up and you maybe heal your heart wall, you begin to see that. Did you ever get a skeptical client who was like, Tim, there's just no way? And then at the end, they were like blown away.
Uh, I'm laughing because my wife is the biggest skeptic ever.
Oh, is that right?
And she'll tell everybody too. She goes, "I did not believe any of this," and but she goes along, she tries it, and now she'll
That's
say,
it.
"Oh man, my foot's really hurting. Can you work on me?" Or, "I have acid reflux. Can you help me with that?" Or, whatever. But yeah, she's a believer now.
Nice.
So,
Nice. Yeah, it's always refreshing to see people open up their hearts and minds to things like this. It's really nice. So you talk about, energy healing. And is this something we can do? Like, do you have any tips or advice for just like us folks that, maybe we can't take your course, although, I'm highly interested in doing that myself. I really have to go check out your I didn't fully look at your pricing and stuff, but um I'm interested because I think I'm stuck in like a lot of physical areas that I would like to clear, you know what I'm saying? But is there anything we could do, just like advice to the public, that maybe can help us on this journey to heal our energy and kind of work on it ourselves a little bit? Anything we could do?
um, well, first of all, you know, people can learn these systems if they wanted to, and if you can do muscle testing and you're comfortable with that, you
Oh
could
yeah,
start.
let's talk about that because I've been hearing a lot about that. Tell folks what that is.
So muscle testing has been around for a long time, and wellness doctors, chiropractors, they've all used it um, since I think it was the early 1930s. Um,
Mhm.
and and so what it is basically your body, it's your subconscious, and they found that when your subconscious doesn't like to lie, so they would the chiropractors in the past, they'd have people, they'd do demonstrations, they'd hold out your arm and
Yeah, I've
don't
seen that.
and you could just say the word hate, let's say, okay, that's more negative,
Mhm.
and your arm, they could push it down very easily.
Yeah.
But if you said love, your arm was strong, it would just stay there. And if you told a lie, your arm would go down. If you told the truth, it would stay. And that's the basic idea of it. So when I'm doing muscle testing, I'm asking yes or no questions because that's all I can ask for. With muscle testing, it's either yes or no. And so I'm using my own body is a proxy to the person I'm working with. I'm connected to them. So when I am asking the question, it's their body respond or their subconscious telling my body, okay, that's yes or no. And so
Mm.
it's strong when it's true, and it's not strong when it's false. And so that's the basics of it. But it's and there's all kinds of muscle testing you can do. So I
Yeah.
tend to do just with my hands. But if the person is there and they wanted to do with their arm out the whole time, we could do that. And that's actually how they started doing this. They used to do that a lot
Yeah,
more.
I've seen, and it's funny because I've had some mediums on the show that say you can do that by yourself. Like, say, for instance, if you're debating on whether or not you should go out tonight, and
Hmm.
then they said set parameters. So, like, if you lean forward, that means yes. If your body leans back, that means no. And they do that, like, and a lot of people use pendulums too
Hmm.
for that kind of thing, to read your energy. But I like the idea of muscle testing. I think it's a great way to, like, if you don't have anybody else around at the moment and you're not sure, if you have a decision that you're not sure about, you can't put your arm out and do it on yourself, though, right? You need somebody
Well,
to
no. So you can yeah, with your arm out, that doesn't
yeah,
work so good. But
right.
for instance, I can use my fingers and say this is
Oh,
true, this is
yeah.
false. And you gotta learn the sensitivity of it. And the other aspect to all this is you have to be neutral,
Right,
because if you're putting your bias in there, you know,
right.
it doesn't
Mm,
work as well. So,
yeah,
um, but I use it all the time. Like for instance, if the fridge, needs to be cleaned out, is this still good? Nope. All right,
right,
trash,
right, right.
And before I eat something, is this good for me to eat, kind of thing. And you know, so yeah,
Yeah,
so it is really neat. So yes, people can do it on yourself. I do have other practitioners that ask me to work on them because they're not neutral on themselves, and even on their family members sometimes, and so they'll have me help them out. But I, I I think the Reiki has helped me be more neutral, because with Reiki you have to be neutral also, and you have to
yeah,
be getting feedback and stuff. So I think that was a great way to do it, is learn, do Reiki, learn that, and then you can go
yeah,
into this. But you can do it yourself. Um, so that's one aspect. So you can do these modalities, you can learn them and do them. I'm not allowed to teach them because they have that with it's with the Discover Healing. They're the ones that do the classes.
yeah,
Um, but also just try to be aware of the emotions that you're feeling and try to acknowledge them. Um, once like the people that have been doing these modalities for a while, they say they can actually feel when an emotion is becoming trapped. And so they can just, what they do is they try to change their perspective
mm,
um, on that situation. So it's like, is this, or should I be reacting badly to this? Because our emotions were there and are there for a reason, but we're in a different time now, that we're not Neanderthals, we're not out hunting, we're not
exactly.
doing that stuff. So the emotions back then, um, we don't need those as much, and so we need to respond appropriately to situations. So that's when you could go, okay, wait a minute, I'm getting way too angry and about to feel like I want to rip someone's head off, but but why? And
Mm,
actually take a step back, and just like you probably heard growing up, count to 10, and
yeah,
and rethink it, and then you can process that emotion without it getting trapped. And so that's one thing you can do to help prevent it in the future. And as far as trying to get the ones that already are trapped, that's probably a little bit more difficult without doing one of these modalities. But
yeah.
I'm sure you still can. I think it's more difficult than that.
It's interesting. I see the consciousness very separate like our spirit, our essence, very separate than our mind. I can't for the life of me make the correlation between our mind telling us these negative thoughts and negative patterns out of survival, because our monkey brain wants us to survive and it's like always trying to protect us. If that were the case, why would it be filling our mind with negative thoughts? And those negative thoughts often push people to do negative things. So I almost see the mind as like this battleground between light and dark. And
Hmm.
there's always this wavering, fight that's going on inside of our head. And sometimes, unfortunately, darkness wins, and sometimes the light wins. And I just think some of us on this planet have more of one than the other, and that our spirit and our soul is just an absolutely separate entity. And I can't make the connection between the two. Does that make sense? Like,
Yes. The uh, so what's interesting also is when you have the inherited either trapped emotions or negative statements, um, when those are released, it's being released from all generations affected.
mm.
So I had one that was 27 generations back.
How'd you find that out that it was back that far?
Muscle testing again, because you say, okay, is did you inherit it from your mother's side or your father's side? And then was it from the father? No, grandfather. You keep going. You say, okay, how many generations back? And it would tell you.
Wow. What was
And
it? Could you say?
I don't remember at all.
Yeah.
But it was an emotion, it. The thing is, though, as you can imagine, anyone now, of course, I could have a trapped emotion, and I have 10 kids, let's say, and maybe 5 or 7 of them will inherit that, but maybe not all of them, you know, or maybe all of them. But it's not necessarily the case that
Yeah.
every kid will inherit it. But
Right.
27 generations back, everybody who had that inherited, it gets removed from. So, s- so all those people, whether they're here, alive, you know,
That's
physical or
wonderful. That sounds like a wonderful thing.
yes,
It's like you were saying before, removing it's almost like removing a curse, right?
yes, yeah,
Wow.
because of all those generations. So what's really
Mm,
cool is the the founder of these systems. He was doing a lecture, and he did a demonstration and had someone come up, and they had um, generations of
mhm.
of a thing. And you know, he didn't see this on his own, but he would even say, yeah, the spirits, like the inherited entities, spirits that it came from, your
Yeah.
parents or grandparents, whatever, would come to the session so that they can have it removed too.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, they were there. Well, during that demonstration, um, afterwards, a medium came up to him and said, "You were so right. There was over 200 beings here
Wow.
while you were doing, this session." And not only that, this is really interesting, but there was an unborn uh, entity that came too. That's part of their.
Oh, I
So
love that.
right, so it's so cool that this can be removed. These things can be removed. They've lasted
Oh,
generations.
yeah.
And to
So
get
this
back to
if I could just ask you quickly, this unborn entity, this spirit, came to the session because they didn't want this negative attachment, right? So, oh wow, I never heard that before. That
yeah,
is so awesome. Go
right,
ahead. Yeah, that is.
and um, oh, what was I thinking? We were gonna go back to uh, Oh, well, I forgot right now. I'm sure I'll
It'll
think of it.
it'll come to you. Do you believe that we choose our parents, like, wherever our souls are in the ether? Do you believe that we get to choose our parents so that, and as Mish pointed out before, so that we have these painful lessons in life to develop who we are spiritually? Or do you think that's just like a God thing that God does? I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of different theories on that.
Yeah. I've actually done a lot of thinking about this because it's like, like I said, I was adopted. What would have happened if I would have been with my biological parents?
Right.
And the way I guess I like to think about it is that I do believe you choose, but it may not be for the pain and stuff, but it may be for their guidance.
Yeah, for the blessings. Yeah.
And because they could guide, like, I don't know very much about either one of them, but I was wondering if they would have helped me develop into this aspect of things a lot sooner. Um,
Mm.
you know, but I, I can't say definitively, but
No,
but
but you
it
go by your feeling.
I do believe also though that yes, you might choose to go into a painful situation because
Mhm.
you may feel at that point you need to experience that and it needs to push you and so your spirit needs to go through that so you can get to a higher level
Yeah.
and so I think there's truth both ways, but I also think that because I have had, and I was just talking about this to my wife actually a couple days ago, was I realized that, it, and everyone has these things, but I realized um, that there's people that I have met and talked to and been with, and but I've only been with them maybe one time or something, but I got a message from them, and
Mhm.
and that changed my life, and maybe I was with them longer than that one moment, but I feel like there's been guides in my life that are
Oh, yeah.
physical people as well as the spiritual
Yes.
guides, but that have come into my life to help guide me, and so I think that's going to happen no matter what. And I was adopted, but I still had these guides that kind of helped me push me along. And yeah, maybe it took me longer, but I think I finally got
Mm.
to where I needed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're still on the journey.
Yeah.
We're all still on the journey. Dolores Cannon talks about
Mm,
how we're all born with either, what definitely one like guardian angel, but then we have a troop of spirit guides that, and they can't interfere, which I get, but they can inspire and they can protect us.
mhm.
So, and I believe that to be true as well. I like to think that, like, my husband passed away 4 years ago, almost 4 years, and I always think he's with me. I know he's with me, and he's now one of my spirit guides. Do you believe in the soul contract that way, that we connect with people over and over again in our, like, reincarnations? Do you follow into that? Does your work believe that as well, like the work that you do?
Well, I do believe that. I've I've done a lot of just different readings on things, and so I do believe that's true. Um, the work not as much, I think. It doesn't touch on that so much in their teachings,
But you personally believe that?
but I personally believe it, yes.
Yeah.
And I had another story about
Go
supernatural,
right ahead.
um, and this was in high school again, and I was I was with my good friend and I. We'd always run out to the bus together, and it was a public bus, so it was on a schedule. Well, I guess all of them are, but we'd run through the parking lot, get to the bus, and then head home. And this one particular day, we were late, right? We were running late, so we had to really run, and we weren't paying attention as much as we should have. And right as we stepped off the curb, there was a car coming really fast towards us, um,
Ooh.
and it was close. I mean, it was really close. My friend jumped over uh, a good portion of the hood. That's how close we were.
Oh, geez.
I was behind him, and I don't know how I got next to him. I just like that. I was right next to him on his side, and no one saw what happened. They're like, how did that? How did you do that? You know, because they saw him jump, but I was just
Wow.
immediately next to him on the other side of the car with him, and I didn't jump. I couldn't have. I mean, it would have hit me.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that was the strangest thing. But
Did that jump clear you from, like, getting hit?
yeah,
Wow.
I mean, he would have been hit had he not jumped. But
Right.
I was behind him, so you know, I couldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever helped me out, guardian angel, whatever you want to say, um, that you know, I'm here probably because of that because they that car was going a lot
Yeah.
faster than it should have in the parking lot, and because you know they
Wow,
kind of
and you don't
peeled out.
remember jumping over the hood,
Oh
or
no,
you were
I
just
didn't.
on the other side?
I was just immediately on the other side because I saw the car and I was like, you know, and immediately I was over there, and I was like, wow, what happened? And everybody was just astonished. They're like, how, you know, no one could tell what had happened because I could not have
So
jumped
other
like that.
people saw it? Other people saw it?
Yeah,
Wow,
well, they
that's
saw us running out, but then I don't know that they actually saw me in the air or anything. But they were just like, wait, how did you get over there? You know, they were sure they were going to hit me. They're afraid they were going to hit my friend, but so
well, it could have been a I'm trying to, like, work through it. I'm thinking of maybe, like, a time jump, like, maybe some of your guides allowed time to alter so that they could move you from one spot to the other. I don't know, it's so
yeah,
weird.
it is. But it was. I'm very thankful.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens to us that is just discarded and written off as, like, coincidence. People will go, "Oh, that was just my imagination," or "It was just a coincidence." No, no, a lot of it is not, a lot of it is real angelic stuff
Mhm.
that it's happened. Like, we all have stories of, maybe not as dramatic as that, but we all have, and, like, I remember one time that I was absolutely blown away. We went to pick up my daughter. She was skiing in Shawnee Mountain up here, and it was 2 feet of snow out there. And it's not that much. It wasn't that much of a drive, but we had to go pick her up because the storm was getting worse. So, and it was me, my husband, my son, and we were picking up my daughter. So, and this is back in the day when we didn't have automatic car clickers and things like that. You turned your car on with keys, right?
Mhm.
So we got out of the car, and my husband left the keys in the car and locked the doors. And he tried to open the door, and he was like, "Oh, I made a big mistake."
Uh-huh.
So, and, like, we're checking all the doors, the three of us, and we're, like, tugging on them. And we were like, "Oh wow, we're screwed," because it was snowing. There was nobody around. And all of a sudden, I got this message to walk around the car and try the door handle on the passenger left side. And I did that, and the freaking door just opened.
Wow.
Just everybody looked at me like, are you, like, how did you do that?" And I'm like, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. But we all
Yeah.
have, instances like that where stuff happens and we don't know where it comes from. And we didn't make a big deal out of it. It was just like a wow moment that nobody really wanted to pay attention to. But I know it was a spirit guide that opened up the door of the car.
Mhm.
Somebody was looking after us.
Mhm.
Do you get people that you work with, clients that come to you like not very spiritual and have a hard time buying into this, or are they pretty much open to like healing and getting better? Like what's the majority of people like for you that you work with?
I think the majority are open, but it is, a lot of people haven't heard about this, and
Mm,
so there is some skepticism as well. Um, and but they're like, well, let me give it a shot, and
mm.
and so we try it out, and I don't think there's been anyone that hasn't been happy with it, honestly, but
Wow, that's good.
but it's you know it is different, uh, and like I said, it was perfect when I saw it. It's like, oh, this is awesome. So
So
it's
you didn't create this
no,
modality of healing. Oh, so this was a learned thing. So who is the originator of this? What was the name of the
it's Dr. Bradley Nelson, and he runs the Discover Healing um, company, and so they teach the classes and they do seminars and different things. But yeah, so he's the one I got certified through. He set up
Oh,
everything. Yeah, so that's how I got my certifications. Um, he started out as a chiropractor, but
oh yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
he had he had some experiences with energy healers when he was very young, and it made a big impact on him. So he ended up, uh, he didn't think about it, I guess, a whole lot, but once he was as an intern for his chiropractic, he started noticing things and saying, I want there's more to this. We can do
Mm,
more. And because people would come back and they'd have a chronic condition and that would never really go away. And he's like, we got to be able to do something. And so he started delving into all of this, and yeah, I mean, he did an awesome job. So
wow. Is this done through like do you have an office where they come to you, or is this done through like Zoom? What's it like?
uh, we can do either way, but almost everybody I work with and it's not all. We're not always talking while I'm doing it. So sometimes people just say, you know what, fit me in whenever you can, and then send me the results. And if we need to review them, we'll call you and we can talk about it. And so, uh, I have people that I work with all over the country. I've worked with some people even in England. Um,
Oh, wow.
one of the main guys with the Discover Healing, also, all of his clients are in Australia, and since the time difference is so big, all of his clients are just email or text kind of clients. So he
Yeah.
doesn't really talk to them.
So you walked away from like computer work and devoted yourself to this. You must have a lot of faith, obviously a lot of faith and belief in the system, right? For you to do that.
Definitely. Um, I just like I said, once I learned about it, I'm like,
Mm.
the whole world needs to have this,
Oh,
th-
wow.
this needs to be in the world. And I actually had kind of a vision of healing the world, and so and on top of that, seeing how it's worked for everybody, as well as myself, experiencing it, I, I'm more convinced than ever that this is such a great thing, for people to go to and have sessions done like this, or they can learn it and do what I do, or just do it on themselves and their family if they want, you know.
Yeah.
But
Now, Allison said, that's her primary issue, the heart wall thing. I guess it is for a lot of us. And, we don't even realize it. And like you said before, they're discovering more and more about the heart, that it's its own, like, I don't want to say soul, but how would you define it? Its own energy force? Is that a better way to put it?
uh, Well, it's like we kind of talked about earlier. It's a second brain in a way. So yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
its own entity, like the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's
So, do you think that's where most trauma sits, comes from? Like, where do you think it resides in the physical? All this emotional baggage that we deal with and give ourselves. Where in the body do you think it sits?
well, that's where it gets kind of crazy because there could be 10 people that all have, or 50 people, whatever you want to say, um, who all have a shoulder problem, let's say. But every session, each session for all those people is going to be different because everyone is different. And that is one thing I had learned about going back to talking about trying to help my mom. And she did get help, by the way. She was doing great for a while and I got to
Oh,
see
good.
more grandkids and all that. But anyway, one thing I had learned by my research was there's a doctor in New York that was treating cancer, and he realized everyone is different, and so we can't cookie cutter treat this.
Yeah.
And he had been an oncologist. Well, he changed his profession to become a wellness doctor,
Wow.
and
Good for him.
yeah, there's several of those that did that,
Mhm.
but his approach was, "All right, I wanna talk to you, I have to see you in person, we have to do some blood work, we have to do, different things." He would
Sure.
determine he had I don't remember how many, but he had, let's say, I don't know, 30 or 50 different diets for people,
Oh, yeah.
and he had really great results. C he was helping with, pancreatic cancer, which
Mm.
was
That's a
basically
nasty
that was
that's
a
a nasty
0%.
ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Western medicine was 0%
Yeah,
survival.
that's
He had about a 30% survival rate.
wow, that's incredible in and of itself.
So
Yeah.
so I so learning about that, I realized, and I think I had already kind of been thinking along these lines, but everyone is different and it's just like everyone processes grief differently. Everybody, we've heard these things, right? And it's the same thing. So these trapped emotions, there's no rhyme or reason as to where they get trapped in the body. Um, Now, the heart wall is a totally different aspect to all of this because it
Mhm.
is around the heart and it is specifically for to protect your heart, But as far as all the other trapped emotions, there's really no rhyme or reason as to where they get trapped.
Wow.
And there was a lady who she had really bad migraines for like 20 years. Now, I didn't work
Mhm.
on her, this person, but no one could help her. It turned out that she had a misalignment in her big toe, and after that, after she had done these sessions,
See,
it was gone, never came back,
a
and,
misalignment in her toe.
in her toe. And that's very unusual because usually well, actually, when we're doing the session, we don't usually try to find out where it's coming from,
Yeah,
but Dr. Nelson, he wanted to find out where it was,
that's
and it was
crazy.
the big toe, yeah.
Like, you would never correlate that to the 2, but I know in Eastern medicine, Western medicine, there's a lot of they believe the earlobes
Mhm,
have certain points that correlate to our physical, our toes do. Well, look at reflexology too. I mean, it's
yep.
a yeah, reflexology is a big foot thing, right? They're mapped out on the feet, like
Well,
the
I'm s yeah,
yeah.
it's the same thing as your earlobe. Your earlobe and your feet and your
Yeah.
hands all have the same points. Your whole
Oh,
body
is that
again.
right?
And so I've actually experienced that because I had learned about it, and sometimes I would, if I had like eye issues or something, I know where to press on my hand. I can do it on the foot, but it's easier on the hand. And
So the ear and the hand have the same mapping? Is that correct?
uh,
Or the feet? W
all three,
Oh, all
there's
3.
there's points on all three that are pretty much the same. There may be some slight differences, but for the most part, your whole body's mapped
Jeez.
out.
Because I
Now,
saw a video the other day where this doctor was saying, "Never pierce your ears. It's like the worst thing you could" I've got like 4 or 5 different, piercings, but he was like, "Don't do that because each point
Mhm.
correlates to your physical body, and you could be screwing around with things, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm so glad you brought
scary.
up acupuncture because part of this modality is actually it'll say, okay, this meridian is
Mm,
blocked, and it'll go to a specific meridian, and it'll even say the left or the right side. And so, usually it's a misalignment, so I just need to realign it. But it can be, it needs to be reset also, um, that kind of thing. But it's really cool because we're actually dealing with that as well. Those kinds of issues that might be caused
yeah.
by those meridians.
Oh
And
my god, it's scary, like, a lot of people are thinking about it, even Mish is like, do you think once you pierce your ears, you're screwed? Or does that affect your health?
I can see where it would affect your health, but I also know that our bodies are built to adapt. And so many people have their ears pierced that seem to be perfectly healthy. So,
Yeah.
so I think our bodies adapt. I do think that you could uh, maybe mess things up a little bit, but in general, I think our bodies try to heal, and that's an important point to make about these modalities I'm talking about. Now Reiki adds energy to people, so the energy
Mhm.
goes in to try to help the body heal with added energy. But this modality that I mainly do is removing the blockages so the energy can flow, so your body can heal itself because it's an amazing
Mm.
healing machine.
Yes, it is.
And that's kind of what acupuncture does too, is they're trying to remove those blockages so you have the right flow of the energy. So
Yeah,
it's
I was always interested in taking it. The sad thing is healthcare doesn't cover acupuncture. It covers chiropractic. So I always hope that like the world of health insurance would recognize that acupuncture is a very beneficial tool in healing because like the place near me charges like $150 a session, and that's like unrealistic for the average person
do
to
several
do
sessions.
every. Yeah, it's a little crazy. It's a little crazy.
I wanted to
But yeah.
say one thing about that is, and I may
Mhm.
have this information wrong a little, but what I do know, okay, is chiropractors didn't used to be covered by insurance, and now they are.
Yeah, correct. That's
Also,
correct.
if you can get into an HSA plan, health savings account, um,
Oh, I've heard of them.
those allow a lot of other services. So I think you can do acupuncture with those as well. You can even
Oh,
do, if you have an HSA plan, you can also do massage. But
oh,
the,
that would be
the,
wonderful.
well, the massage has to be, you need a prescription from a doctor to get
Mhm.
the massage. And I don't know if they still require this, but they used to require that you go to a massage place that is a medical massage place.
Oh, I see.
They have certain designations, I guess. So, but still, you can get it done, and that it,
Well, that's good to know. At least it's a little more fluid than the most of the, I don't know what that is. What is Bowen therapy? Have you heard of that, Tim?
Bowen. What
Mish
kind
is
of therapy?
saying
Oh, Bowen therapy. I actually, eh, it seems a little familiar, but I don't know anything about it.
you'll have to tell us about that, Mish. I don't know. I'm always so open to wanting to try these things. And then, like I said, with the acupuncture, you go, oh, manipulation of the muscles. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
I'd be all in for that.
I knew this chiropractor that would do, and it wasn't Rolfing or Bowen. It was something else, but it was,
Heard of that Rolfing thing
yeah.
too.
That's actually not the muscle; it's the fascia. And
Ah,
but that works so well. It's painful, but it works. Oh man, it works so good. So
yeah.
I don't remember what they were called, but he was
I
really
have
good
a
with that.
question for you. What do you think about our pain and suffering that causes a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that turn to addictions like alcohol and drug abuse. What do you deal with those types of issues with people, and what's your success rate like with that?
Um, I haven't had a lot, but I do.
That's good.
I am capable of working on that. I have helped a little bit. Uh, I haven't. I've only done like one session for someone about smoking, and those kinds of things, and even like overeating, because you can be addicted to food. It sounds
Oh,
funny,
good
but
lord, yeah.
and so I've helped with that kind of thing, and I've worked on people a little bit with the alcohol or some other addictions,
Yeah.
but not to the point to where I can say, okay, we're done. It's kind
Yeah.
of like I did one session, but then they had other issues come up, and so it's like, well, those
Oh,
other issues are more important, so we've been working on those, and so I can't say that I've had a lot of where I got it down to the you know uh, to where it said there's nothing else to work on kind of thing. So
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, there's a driving pain, trauma that's making people drink, and so that makes a lot of sense where you'd have to work on that first. I mean, that would be the primary goal, right? To heal that, help heal that trauma
yeah,
that's
yeah.
causing the person to, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So what are you doing, like where do you
Oh,
see this go? Yeah, go ahead. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I didn't fully answer your question earlier.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do have a place I can meet people physically, and so it's a office that I share when I have appointments, and so if someone wants to see me physically, we can certainly do that.
Could work
And
that out. What state are you located in?
I'm in New Mexico.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I've never been there, but I always wanted to take a vacation there. Where do you see this going for yourself? Like, where do you see yourself 5 years from now using this modality? Is it everything you dreamed it would be and more? Like, what's future Tim like?
um, at the moment, yeah, it's awesome. I think I might want to learn more about different things, but right now this I definitely I don't want to give this up. And what's great about this too is I end up using some of my Reiki with it as well. I don't.
Mhm.
It's not really. I don't do separate sessions with it, but let's say I work on someone and that actually will come up where it's like, oh, they need a Reiki treatment or they need acupuncture or something like that, and so I can refer them to whatever. But if they need a Reiki treatment, then I just go ahead and do a Reiki treatment on them, later that day, and that way they can have I guess they needed some extra energy or whatever to process all of this. So I really like that those two go hand in hand so well,
Yeah.
and and yeah, I'm open to learning new things, but I've been just so amazed by this that I was like, I want to help as many people as I can, and that's really my focus is I do want to help people, and so I just hope I get so busy that I need to get someone else
Yeah.
to help, or I need to refer them to somebody else because I know a lot of
Yeah.
other people doing this too, but you know,
Has your
so
family opened up to it now? Bet like to the is it do they find it more accepting what you're doing?
um, it is so funny because the sister that was the doctor of pharmacy, she was just so against it for a while, and she's like, well, I'm hearing more and more about things, and I do see things that happen in the hospital, um, and where and she's a devout Christian, and she goes, I've seen the power of prayer, and so why can't this work too? And I'm like, yeah. So she started having me work on her, and
Oh, wow.
she has been. She goes, wow, I don't know what you're doing or how you come to these conclusions, but
Yeah.
it's working. And so
Yeah.
she keeps scheduling with me every week now, and she says she's feeling a lot better from it.
That's
So
wonderful. That's wonderful. And I have to comment on Allison's comment that she believes the entity thing is real.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, it really is, and it's so interesting to see more and more people realizing that and coming to that assertion that there are negative, dark entities out there, and that we need to protect ourselves. What do you do to protect yourself from these things? You're working with people and you don't want these entities attaching to you. So, like, do you meditate or do you have a grounding ritual? Like, what's protection like for you?
I actually haven't had issues with things coming from people to me. Um, there's kind of an exception to that, but I wasn't working on this person, but our son, he was working with someone that kept putting a curse on him. Well, they put a curse
Oh,
on him and me and my wife and my other son and uh,
what?
several people. And I would remove the curses from everybody, and then they would re-add them back. And so yeah, that came to us, but I wasn't working on him. See, so I
That was
haven't
just an
had that issue.
outside. That was just an outside. Geez, now why would someone do?
But,
How did you find out about that? If you don't mind me asking, how'd you
well,
find out that they cursed you and your family?
well, I do go through every once in a while and uh, you know, do clearings or check all of us, just to see because I do think that by me doing this work, it attracts, entities
Yeah,
and it attracts things. So I do go through and kind of check us all out and sometimes I'll have a feeling about someone before I work on them
yeah,
and it's like, okay, so I do a clearing on them before I work on them. And so that way they're clear. And and I haven't really had an issue, but I I also, if people are wondering, because sometimes people say, "What can I do? Can I do something about this?" And so,
yeah.
what one thing I had learned previously through meditation is that visualization is such a powerful tool, and so I visualize. You know how you can ground yourself, you visualize the light and
Yes, absolutely.
earth energy as well, and so you first ground yourself, and I like to do it when I'm going to bed, and I don't do it every night, but I used to,
Yeah.
but and so then you bring that light then and you engulf like your whole room. Well, first you
Oh,
surround
yeah.
yourself, you make a bubble, then you do your whole room, your whole house, your whole
Yeah, yeah,
property and everything, and that actually protects you. It does help, and
yeah,
and you just can visualize this bright light and
yeah,
visualize it
covering.
protecting you. You know,
Yeah.
and so that's something that anyone could do. Um, and anyway, so that's one thing I tell people. But I actually have methods to get rid of these entities or get rid of where they won't
Nice.
come back and they won't bother you again, and at
Is
least
that
a
something
while.
you teach people too? Do you teach people how to do that, Tim? To get to rid, if you find someone is indeed has these attachments, do you teach people not only get rid of them, but do you say, well, this is what you need to do moving forward to keep them away? Like, do you teach people?
There is well, of course, I tell them about the visualization, um,
Yeah.
and there is a little um, uh, thing that you can do. It's almost like a prayer, and it goes through. And when you do that, then it it gets rid of a lot of things. Not always everything, but it gets rid of a lot of things. So when I was having all those things attached to me, all those negative things, um, I found out about this, and now this I found out about actually from the modalities. So it was funny, and I tried it. And one caveat to that though is you there's a key word you put in there of shields up. So whenever you say shields up, it activates the prayer,
Oh, I like that.
and you have to do it every day because typically at night they'll you're vulnerable, and so they can attach to you during the night. So
So do
in
you
the
say
morning,
shields up like while you're praying or before
oh,
you?
you just say it when you wake up. So you don't have to pray anymore. You do that one prayer, And I don't remember all the details of it, but you go through the prayer and you designate it as shields up. So anytime you say shields up,
It
you're clearing.
activates it. Oh, I love that.
And if there's
I
things attached to
absolutely love
you,
that.
it actually will detach them from you. So that works really well. And I'll share that with whoever wants. Um, and but I have, like Mish is saying, I have done where it's a one and done thing, but that's more complicated. So
Yeah. Oh, I love that because the guy that the doctor that I interviewed who treated schizophrenic patients and discovered that largely they had entities and demonic entities attached to them. He told me that they hate Psalm 23. And I'll tell you, he said they run from it when you
huh.
say Psalm 23. So, like, if I ever get that feeling where, I'm having like a constant stream of negative thoughts, I'll just say Psalm 23 and it really does work.
Huh.
Whether or not it's true or psychosomatic, I don't know, but it works. So,
Okay.
I love it.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah, Psalm 23. It's the kicker. And he said that like he would have like he had one demonic schizophrenic patient in his office and the guy started emitting like this black shadowy figure and Jerry, who's this doctor, started saying Psalm 23 and the thing just like floated out of him and left him right there and he looked at the patient and said, "Did you see that?" And he said, "No, I didn't see it. I felt it."
Mm.
So Psalm 23 can sometimes remove these demonic entities. I mean, this guy's got like 30 years of experience, so I kind of take what he has to say to heart, but crazy
No, definitely.
stuff.
Why not? We'll give it a
Yeah,
try.
exactly. Exactly.
I'll keep
Yeah.
that in my wheelhouse to tell people.
Keep it in your wheelhouse because I certainly do. I certainly do. And I got to tell you something trippy about that. I got these Meta glasses because I got a new phone. Verizon was giving away these Meta sunglasses that have AI built into them. So I figured, well, they're giving it away. So I took them and it turned out I really like them a lot. So when I'm walking my dog, like if I get negative thoughts, I'll tell it to recite Psalm 23 and
Mm.
it'll recite it for me and it's in my head so I'm hearing it and it just gives me this peaceful like there's just something about that psalm that works. So anybody out there, give it a try. Even if you're not religious, it's just there's something magical, mystical about it that I really dig. So, what parting words of inspiration or advice do you have for us, Tim? Anything else you want to say about your work or anything? Take this time to do it. We have your website running across the screen there. So, I always ask folks to give it a shout out. It's wellnessrevival.net. Wellnessrevival.net. So, you have anything you'd
Well,
like to say?
one thing I just want to say is I do want to offer everyone who's listening a special uh, where 3 sessions for 50% off of
Oh, wow.
any session at all. But you can get 50% off, but you need to use the coupon code of special 50. So the
Okay.
50 at the end, special, and then 50. And yeah, so I say give it a try. Um,
Yeah.
I've been just super happy with this. Like I said, I'm very excited about it, and I truly just want to help people. That's I've always wanted to help people, and
Yeah.
for a while I was doing it with the computer, but I finally found this, and this is really what I wanted to do. I really wanted to
Nice.
help people, physically, mentally, emotionally, and so and I
I
also
I
have a
kinda I get that from you that you're very genuine in your desire to help people. I really read that from you. So that's nice.
yeah, and I there's another aspect is you can schedule a session on there that it says a 15-minute call. It's a free 15-minute call. So if you have additional questions, we can talk about it there. And I mean, if I don't have anything else after the 15 minutes scheduled, we can always talk more about. We could go longer, so I don't limit you. And I try not to limit people on their sessions either, because sometimes I'll get through and it says no, you really need to do another. Uh,
Mm,
remove one more thing, and so I'll go and do a whole nother system. And but I try not to limit anything like that, because you know if your body is telling me we need to remove another thing, I don't want you to have to wait for that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Well, that's really nice, and that's a really nice discount too. I hope folks take you up on that. I think I'm going to be reaching out to you too because it sounds very interesting. Your success rate is really phenomenal too.
yeah, yeah, um just let's keep it going, and let's learn from each other, and try to be
Absolutely.
healthy and get our filters the right way that they should be.
Get our heart wall together. We got to
Uh-huh.
fix that heart wall.
So we can all come together and actually
Exactly.
relate better.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
So
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tim. It was such a blessing speaking with you and getting to know you. And I hope yes, Mish, learning is why we're here. Abso-freaking-lutely.
yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Heidi. Much love to everyone in the chat,
Yes,
as
that
always.
comes from me as well. Thank you, everybody
Of
who's listened to
course.
this, and
Of
whoever's
course.
gonna listen to it. So,
Of course.
and
Yes.
thank you for having me on and making this opportunity available, because it's been really a pleasure talking with you.
Oh, same here. Blessings to you. And I'm sure we'll be talking again soon.
Sounds good. All
Take
right.
care, dear.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
Bye.
Well, I want to just again thank everyone in the chat. I love hearing from you guys. And as we conclude today, I want to thank Tim for walking us through this really profound discussion. It's almost like we can be the editor in chief of our own emotional story. And we learned what trauma scripting is. It's not a permanent tattoo, it's just a piece of code that we've written into our existence, into our souls. And I think, with some work, we can all explore ways to move past these hurts and sorrows and sufferings. So, if anything resonates with you today, I encourage you to take the next step and make sure you visit Wellness Revival and have Timothy give you some healing. Sounds like he can, and I think I'm going to take him up on it. So, remember, your goal is not to forget the past, but to ensure that your past no longer dictates your future. Thank you all so much for joining us today. You've been listening to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled, and my dog knows that I'm saying goodbye because he always comes over here and starts punching me and gets excited because he wants me to take him for a walk. But you've been listening to us live on United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, which is 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Please support all of our other hosts and guests on this network. We are so grateful to you when you do. Thank you, everyone, again in the chat. Love you all dearly. See you tomorrow. I have a live show tomorrow, and it's something very near and dear to my heart, talking about heart walls. And it's going to be with Mel Corman at 3, and I'm going to blast it all over social media. Please pop in. Um, it's about freedom of speech and how we're losing it. And it just rubs me the wrong way. We need to get the word out there so folks can awaken. There's a documentary called Dear Mr. President, and the creator and developer of that is going to be our guest tomorrow. So please spread the word, share it far and wide. We have to keep our freedom of speech intact. So it's not a paranormal topic, but it's very spiritual, and you'll see why and how. So thank you all. God bless. See you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye-bye, everyone.